All right, grace and peace to everybody. I'm what you need. You watching my channel. Hope everybody's doing well today. Well, we got to talk some boxing. We live. You know what I'm saying? But first, all praise be to the Most High God. The Most High God comes first. We can't do anything without the Most High God. So we want to give him credit first and foremost before we get into anything. We're obviously going to talk boxing today. If you like what you're seeing, don't forget you can like, share, and you can also subscribe to this channel. Uh, this channel also is, uh, we do take PayPal. So if you want to support this channel through donations, you can do so via PayPal. This particular stream is brought to you by LIVE products. LIVE. Live now. We're live now. And the LIVE products for those people in Trinidad and Tobago, they are right now we have a drink line, natural fruit juices line, and we also have a cleaning agents line. So let me show you the cleaning agents. First and foremost, we got dishwashing liquid, LIVE dishwashing liquid. We also have LIVE liquid detergent for your clothes. We also have LIVE fabric softener, which goes with the detergent. And we also have LIVE all-purpose cleaner, also known as a disinfectant. All right. So when it comes to cleaning agents, we have four types of cleaning agents. We will expand as time goes along. Also, in addition, we have LIVE natural fruit drinks. These drinks have a minimum amount of sugar, 22 grams per 500 mil. We have LIVE flavors Morbi, fruit punch, orange juice, grapefruit juice, and we also have sorrel juice. So LIVE, if you're in the Trinidad and Tobago area, you can put out your order. Each of these products costs $10 each, which is reasonable. And you can have your LIVE products as well. Now we're going to get into the boxing because that's what we're about. So I just wanted to introduce this brand to you guys that sponsors this channel, that keeps this channel running. So if you guys are interested in LIVE products, you happen to be in Trinidad and Tobago, you can contact me by inboxing me at YouTube, or you can also contact me through WhatsApp and Facebook. On Facebook, I am Anson Phillip, and you can get me on Facebook, and then you can message me there as well. You can also message me on Instagram and Twitter. Instagram, it's Philip Anson, and on Twitter, my Twitter handle is AEPGM46. All right, let's get into this boxing because that's what you guys came here for. Um, so we're going to talk a little bit about Terrence Crawford versus uh Mr. Madrimov. Okay, we're gonna talk about that fight. Now, me personally speaking, hold on 1 second. Give me just 1 second. I'm gonna be right back. But hold that thought. Okay, I was just prepping something, so I had to make sure the prep was proper. We had a decent prep. Yeah, Israel Madrimov versus Terrence Crawford. First of all, let me be as honest with people as possible, okay, about this fight. This fight wasn't close. if you're going by the criteria that's used to judge fights, that is to say, you have ring generalship, effective aggression, defense, and clean, effective punching. Terence Crawford won this fight by a mile. I was looking to see where Madrimov actually won some rounds. And I really couldn't give Madrimov much rounds. I gave him the early rounds. I gave him rounds 1. I believe I gave him round 2. It's hard to find rounds for Madrimov, because even when Madrimov, had success, Terence would answer him with combinations to the body and to the head. Terence was particularly effective to the body. He was countering Madrimov's shots as Madrimov would come in. He would step around Madrimov and start landing that left hook to the body. He would come back with the right hook up top, or he would come with the right hook to the head, left hook to the body, And as a result of that, it was hard for me to give Madrimov rounds. I was watching the fight, I was hearing the commentary, but the commentary was just totally detached from what was actually happening. They were praising Madrimov when Terence Crawford was the guy actually landing shots. And Madrimov might get a overhand right in, that was mostly what he got in. Terence completely dismantled Madrimov. He took away his jab. He had no jab. Yeah, he was doing that feint thing over and over as if he was going to come in, but it was the same feint over and over. Okay? I think once he tried to come in with an uppercut, I think it was something like that, with right hand uppercut, right hand, I can't remember. Madrimov wasn't doing nothing the whole night. Terence Crawford had tamed him, disciplined him, and yes, he landed some straight rights. You could see he had some variety. Madrimov had the longer reach, man. But he just didn't have the better jab. In the battle of the jabs, Terence Crawford took away Madrimov's jab. Now, I saw, just so people understand, Terence basically controlled Madrimov with the jab to get the range he wanted. And then on top of that, and he was doing it by countering Madrimov to take away Madrimov's jab. Plus, he was in the southpaw stance to take away Madrimov's jab. Like, Madrimov's not used to jabbing a guy in the southpaw stance who can maintain range or find the range he wants, so he can pop his jab when he wants. Because it's all about timing. It's not just about, okay, I got the longer reach, I can get you. No, it's about timing. And Terence got his timing down. I think somewhere around the 4th round, he really got his timing down. So he could pick the jab, he can get him in the jab, and he would jab after maybe Madrimov would do something, like Madrimov would make a commit to, coming in. But he also threw the jab at varying times, with varying speeds. And he was stepping around Madrimov as Madrimov was trying to pursue him. So, Terence tamed down Madrimov so much that we could not see what we used to seeing with Madrimov. We didn't see. He was a lot more disciplined, Madrimov was. And strangely, I thought Terence was really landing the cleaner, sharper, harder shots as well. So, Madrimov was trying to, feint as if he's coming in feint. Madrimov's his whole game plan was based on feints because he couldn't get no jab in. For the whole night, Madrimov probably landed, I don't even know if he landed a jab the entire fight. Terence was the one landing the jabs. Terence was the one landing the combinations. Madrimov couldn't even put 2 shots together, right? Now, did Madrimov catch him with the right hand? Yes, because Madrimov's awkward. And he's feinting as if he's coming in, feinting as if he's coming in. Sometimes you're going to fall asleep a little bit and he's going to catch you coming in, right? Because he's not awkward. He has timing as well. And he's trying to time Terence Crawford. The problem with Madrimov is he close up and then open. Close up and he do like this. This is his style, right? So he's coming at you like this, right? He's closing up and then opening. So Terence is timing that, and he's getting his jab in between that. And in the beginning, they were doing the Battle of the Jabs. In the beginning, Madrimov was landing shots. In fact, I think Madrimov was the first guy to land in the beginning. And Madrimov knocked Terence Crawford back with a right hand. I saw that straight right hand. I saw that too when Terence Crawford was trying to pull out, got caught. Because again, Madrimov has the longer reach. So Terence is going to get caught with some of the shots because again, he's within Madrimov's reach. Joel Diaz had in the corner was trying to egg on Madrimov a lot because what happened was that Madrimov, especially later on in the fight, he was getting more and more desperate for Madrimov to do more because Madrimov wasn't doing enough. And to be honest with you guys, yeah, Madrimov did catch Terence Crawford with a couple of shots. But whenever Madrimov caught Terence Crawford with something special, like something, really good, Terence Crawford would respond and he would just beat the crap out of Madrimov. And Madrimov, he disciplined him so that Madrimov couldn't even, he can't really, he want to commit, but he don't want to go into the fire like that. So, Crawford's like, if you want to fight, we could dog fight, you know what I mean? And Crawford kept on catching him with certain shots because he would circle around him. Now, Madrimov also, he had good defense in that he could, like if he's falling in, he knew how to step to the side and get around Terence Crawford and clinch him, But for the most part, I mean, this was a dominant performance by Terence Crawford. He didn't knock out Madrimov. He was vicious with shots when he could get the shots in. But at the same time, I didn't see anything that Madrimov did particularly that offset Terence Crawford, or shall I say, I didn't see anything from Madrimov that showed me that he was in control of the fight, or he was taking over the fight, or the momentum of the fight changed. At no point in time did I see that. The fight went at the pace Terence Crawford wanted the fight to go. The type of interaction that was happening was mostly by Terence Crawford. He did get hit with a couple of good shots by Madrimov, particularly early on in the fight, not so much later down the stretch. And the urgency that Joel Diaz had with Madrimov told me that Madrimov wasn't doing enough. He wasn't stepping it up. But Madrimov couldn't step it up because he couldn't find range because he wasn't using his jab. He usually pumped his jab a lot. And Terence took that away. Madrimov had early success with the right hand. And he had success in spots in the fight with the right hand. But anytime it looked like he was going to get some momentum to really do something, Terence Crawford would answer, and shut that down. So Terence Crawford outboxed Madrimov quite easily to get this win. He did hurt him a couple of times. Andre Ward sparred Terence Crawford, and the little clip that we saw, Terence Crawford actually in the Battle of the Jabs got his jab in on Andre Ward's body. Whereas Andre Ward couldn't, he was trying to stave off Crawford. He was trying to, Crawford had him occupied. He had occupied his hand, his lead hand. And that was kind of amazing to see because Andre Ward is a guy who's really an expert at using the lead hand. He knows what to do, how to control your lead hand and stuff. And to see Terence get that shot in on Andre Ward was quite impressive. And Terence Crawford was pressing the action. Andre Ward was the one on the back foot. Because Andre, if he sharpens up, I'm sure he'd do a lot better. But if Terence Crawford could do that to Andre Ward, what do you think he would do to Madrimov? Now, having said that, that win, which was dominant, it was a dominant win in my opinion. So how did I score the fight? Well, I gave Madrimov 3 of the 12 rounds. I had this fight 9-3. It could have easily been 10-2. Okay. I think Madrimov got the early 2 rounds, and I think he got some middle round. I think I gave him it, because Crawford, again, did what he did in the round. He responded to Madrimov in the second half. I think Madrimov had more control in the first half, and then Crawford just took that control, snuffed that control out, and took control of the fight. So I had it 9-3, 118-111, or 118-1, 11. I didn't think it was an 8-2 fight at all. It was 8-2 solid, but I didn't see 4 rounds to give Madrimov. I don't know where all the hype was coming from, from the commentary team. Sometimes you wonder if these people are just trying to back a fighter. Eddie Hearn said he thought it was a robbery, which is ridiculous. Um, so me personally, I think Crawford just showed his class once again. And he had sufficient power that Madrimov had to respect him. He couldn't just bulldoze him and just roll into there. Which leads us to the question of questions, right? Crawford wants that Canelo fight. Turkey Al-Sheikh, I put a proposal to Canelo Alvarez. And once again, Canelo Alvarez turned down that proposal. So Turkey Al-Sheikh has been moving on. Canelo versus Crawford, how would that fight go? Now, yes, Canelo would be at 168. Yes, Canelo's very, very strong. Yes, Canelo's, he's no Ishmael Madrimov. Okay, Ishmael Madrimov, he's strong, yeah. He's smart and savvy when it comes to boxing. But Canelo's different. Canelo has a hell of a lot of pro experience versus Madrimov's pro experience. Hold on one second. Keep it bubbling for a little longer. Yeah, just a tad longer. Okay. Israel Madrimov has significant pro experience. Sorry, not Madrimov. Canelo Alvarez has significant pro experience. Now Madrimov can do a lot more things. He's more versatile when it comes to skill. But he has to find range. Canelo. What he does extremely well. He knows how to close the distance. He can't completely cut off the ring. It would be interesting to see Crawford versus Canelo, to be honest with you. But as we all know, Canelo has ducked the smoke when it comes to Crawford and to David Benavidez. And from what we know, he's facing David Berlanga, which is so distasteful, it's not funny. It's disappointing. And Canelo will say, well, I fought, Cotto, and I fought Floyd Mayweather, and I fought Erislandy Lara, and I fought, Gennady Golovkin, and I fought, Julio Cesar Chavez. So why do I need to prove myself? I became undisputed at 168, fighting guys like Caleb Plant. And yeah, but you see, here's the thing with Canelo that's sad and disappointing. He's saying he proved himself, right? No, you haven't. You are supposedly the king of 168, and you still haven't fought the best at 168, which is Mr. David Benavidez. So you have an asterisk right on that. And then, yeah, you fought Floyd Mayweather. Nobody's saying no. But you lost to him. You lost to Floyd Mayweather. You also fought Dimitri Bivol. And again, you lost to him. And I mean you lost to him. Like, the cards don't do justice to how much you got beat in that fight by Bivol. So to say, oh, I proved myself, therefore I don't need to face Crawford, is a lie. Because you've been beat. You've been beat by a smaller guy like Crawford, and you've been beat by a bigger guy like Bivol. In other words, you haven't proven yourself when it comes to those kinds of fighters. A fighter like Bivol and a fighter like Mayweather. And guess what? Crawford's a fighter like Mayweather. And David Benavidez, the hype on him, I'm not saying that he is, but the hype on him is that he's like a fighter, something like Dimitri Bivol. He's not, but they would say that in terms of size and stuff. He's not. His fighting style is different. Now you tell me. Canelo's going to say, well, I'm in the twilight of my career. Let me retire. It's always going to be somebody. Well, not really. Not really. In this case, the somebody is you can either face the smaller guy, which is Crawford, who's coming up like just like Jamal Charlo now. He's gonna be coming up from 154 to fight you. Okay. Or you're gonna fight the bigger fighter, a David Benavidez, he's young, he's strong, he throws combinations, who again is and was the best 168 pounder in your division while you were there, and you never faced him. You avoided him. So this trend of Canelo talking about he proved himself, when you're avoiding guys like Demetrius Andrade, when you avoided Jamel Charlo for so many years, and then Jamal Charlo, you still didn't face him, right? You still haven't faced that dude. You're an anticlimax to this era. You don't look good anymore because the guys in this era are starting to face each other. The only guy that's like you, who's even worse when it comes to his resume, and he's in the witness protection program because he knocks out everybody's Tank. You and Tank are the same. Y'all get into boxing, but you're not interested, well, you at least, are not interested in facing the best at this point in time, which is sad. It's anticlimactic. Canelo versus Berlanga. Why the hell would we watch that? Berlanga's not even a world champion. Never been a world champion. Never proved himself. Has never been at championship status. Why would we watch you face Berlanga? So I checked out a Canelo a long time ago. You know, he's like a guy from the past. He's a fossil. And they could call him the face of boxing. They could do whatever they want. He ain't represent boxing, in my opinion. Right? He's got a good resume. Yes, he used to want to face the best, but he hasn't of late. Of late, he's not been facing the best. John Ryder's not the best. Okay? You faced Caleb Plant. We give you props for that. But John Ryder ain't the best. What that kid name? The kid from Golden Boy. He ain't the best. Jaime Munguia. He's not the best. Everybody knows this. You've not been facing the best for the last couple of fights. And now you're going to face a dude that never even faced a world champion. And you're talking about Demetrius Andrade never faced a world champion, but you're about to face a guy that never faced a world champion, never even became a world champion. I'm not watching that shit. Hell no. So Canelo is a disappointment. He began his career, and you know, I was a Canelo fan like that, and I used to follow Canelo, but I'm not following that guy anymore, and I don't care who says what. I'm not following that guy no more because that guy don't fight the fights we want to see. And he had checked out the building since 2000 and what was it? 2020 or 2021. He checked out the building. You know? All right, he's fought Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders don't box no more. We don't hear nothing about Billy Joe Saunders. Caleb Plant still in it to win it. And he was boxing Canelo for most of the rounds until Canelo stopped him. And Caleb Plant is nowhere on the level of Dimitri Bivol, who, totally beat up dude. Talking about you want a rematch with Bivol. You don't want no smoke with Bivol. Bivol looking to fight big Beterbiev right now. You don't want no smoke with Bivol. Right? When it comes to David Benavidez, we saw David Benavidez versus a 175 pounder. He don't got the juice at 175. No, he don't. He don't got that kind of power. right? Gvozdyak's a big, powerful 175 pounder, but he got the tenacity. And Canelo don't want to face David Benavidez. That's some real duck. You have you built up this career, which is impressive. And then now you just have the last two guys, or one of the two guys to face. And you chicken out and you want to face a green fighter over a two-time world champion who has proven himself time and time again to be one of the best. In fact, he is the best 168 pounder. David Benavidez beat Demetrius Andrade to become the best 168 pounder. And you don't want to face David Benavidez. You don't want to face him. Well, all right. That messes up your legacy. Can't call yourself the best Mexican fighter out there. Can't. Because you ducking the smoke. You've been ducking the smoke. Little ass Crawford. Little ass Crawford. You don't want to face little ass Crawford. You prefer to face an inexperienced 168 pounder who's never been to the championship level, never fought a world champion. You prefer to face him over Terrence Crawford, even though you faced a guy from the same division in Jermell Charlo. You faced Jermell Charlo. So you can't say you can't face Terrence Crawford. Because Terrence Crawford is in the very same division Jermell Charlo was in. And you faced Jermell Charlo. You said, come on up to 168. Let's go. But you don't want to offer Crawford now that he's fought at 154. Come on up to 168 and let's go. See? Hypocrisy. So I don't want to waste no more time on that guy. I'm not giving him no shine no more on none of his fights. Because he is a disgrace to the sport of boxing right now. Him and Tank. Yap, 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 says Tank. And we're going to fight this guy. We're going to fight this guy. And you ain't stepping up to the plate once. Not once. Your whole freaking career, you ain't step up to the plate and face the very best. So I don't want to hear about Tank. I don't want to hear about Canelo. Those are disgraces to the sport of boxing. They in there to make some money and then they get out. That's all they're in there for. They're a disgrace to our sport. Like Tyson Fury was. Right? Tyson Fury, he ain't trying to have that rematch with Usyk right now. Usyk be calling him out and stuff. He not interested in a rematch. You know why? Because he knows he'll get his ass beat worse than he was the first time. Because Usyk was walking his ass down. So Fury's trying to juice up and do all kinds of things in the offseason so he can have an advantage when he get in that ring. Fraud. So all this talk about he never been beaten by a man who been born of a woman. Well, you get your ass beat by Usyk. And I told y'all Usyk was going to beat his ass. He almost got him knocked out. Okay? I told you Usyk was going to beat him. I told y'all that. And Usyk's just waiting to beat his ass again. Okay? If Fury will get the balls to do the rematch. Now let's talk a little bit about other fights on the horizon. But first, let me finish this off by saying Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez don't have the confidence to beat a Terrence Crawford. Which is why he's not even taking that fight. If Canelo felt he could beat Terrence Crawford, he would take the fight in a heartbeat. Just like how he took the Berlanga fight. He'll take that fight in a heartbeat. People say, oh, it's just business. It's just business. Nah. That fight would make so much money. A Crawford jumping up, was it 3 divisions to 168 to face Canelo Alvarez? That would be a big fight. Terrence Crawford is 37 years old. He's an old ass person. 36, 37. He's old. That's down your lane, Canelo. You like fighting old guys with a lot of experience. That's down your alley. Bud is no spring chicken. You know? Canelo saying he yapping. He said, "Oh, that would be a much easier fight than the fight with David Benavidez." Actually, I don't think so. That's why you're not taking it. See, we don't have time for people who talk. We want to see people be about it and walk the walk. So that's what we got. Now, with respect to Terrence Crawford facing other fighters, I'm going to say this again. He's right there at the zone. Madrimov was with Matchroom. Jerome Boots Ennis is with Matchroom. Now they're talking, Turkey Al-Sheikh's talking about Virgil Ortiz versus Terrence Crawford. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. Virgil Ortiz is basic. That's like Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. I don't need to see that. What we want to see is Terrence Crawford versus Jerome Boots Ennis. He's green as well. He don't got a lot of experience as a champion, but he got that skill. And I want to see how he can fare against Terrence. That experience is going to be invaluable. What Israel Madrimov got facing Terrence Crawford is invaluable. And I would love to see how Terrence would handle Jerome Boots Ennis. I want to see what Jerome Boots Ennis really got. I want to see what he really got up his sleeve. I'd love to see that fight. And that's a fight Turkey Al-Sheikh should be pushing, because people say his big push was supposed to be Canelo versus Terrence Crawford. Well, the next big pull should be Jerome Boots Ennis versus Terrence Crawford at 154. Jerome should jump up to 154 to fight Terrence Crawford for the WBO title. Why doesn't he do that? 154 is just a divisional weight, and he could come back down to 147 and unify the division. But I think he should go up, and if the opportunity presents itself, he should go up to 154 and fight Terrence Crawford. That experience is going to be invaluable. Whether he loses or wins, it's going to be an invaluable experience for Jerome Boots Ennis. I'm sure he never faced nobody on that level and that experience. That's a good fight. It'll be a big fight as well. Because he is... if you could talk about Israel Madrimov facing Terrence Crawford and he only got 10 fights, why cannot Boots face Terrence Crawford? This is what I don't understand. Terrence Crawford is talking about, Jerome, he don't got enough experience and he ain't got this and he ain't got that and blah, 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 blah. No, man, that's excuses. Bernie the Boxer and all these guys. Stop making fucking excuses. Let's see the fight. Let's see it. Right? Because Israel Madrimov only had 10 fights. Only 10 fights. But you're facing Israel Madrimov. Right? Sold out the house and everything, right? So let's see that. Turkey Al-Sheikh, that's what you should be trying to finance. Big money for Jerome Boots Ennis. Now the question is, does Boots want it? Does Boots Camp really want this? Because that's something that could happen. And that's a fighter that everybody believes could give Terrence Crawford a run for his money, especially at 37 years of age or 36 years of age, whatever age he is. All right. So I just wanted to cover all of that because the next thing I'm going to talk about, and very briefly, is Mr. Ducking Ash Tank, right? Shakur been calling out everybody. He be talking to everybody, that night with the Crawford versus Madrimov fight. Shakur clashed with Lomachenko, and Lomachenko's talking about fighting him right there and then, but Loma ain't want that smoke with Shakur, and he knows that. But, Loma don't want no smoke with Tank. He knows that. He pulled out of the Tank fight. He's pulled out of the, he don't want nothing. He don't even call Shakur name, right? He don't even call Shakur name. But Shakur, is the dude right now who Tank should be facing next. And Tank is doing everything not to face Shakur. Pitbull Cruz just got outboxed by the kid that get knocked out by De Los Santos, right? Who just moved up to 140. He got outboxed. So Pitbull's no champion anymore. Rolly Romero was champion for one fight. Pitbull took him out, and then Pitbull was champion for one fight, and Now, I forgot. Valenzuela. Valenzuela beat him, right? Tank has not had a fighter. I think Mario Barrios is the only fighter that Tank has is now a world champion and still a world champion at present, but he hasn't defended his championship yet. So we don't know what will happen with that. This is supposedly he's supposed to be facing Manny Pacquiao, according to y'all rumors. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think Manny Pacquiao right now is that's it. He's done with professional boxing. He should stay out. He shouldn't come back to professional boxing. That just makes no sense. He's gonna take unnecessary punishment. I saw the exhibition with the kickboxer kid from Japan, and he was getting his ass beat and pretty bad. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, you can say it's a kind of prep for Mario Barrios. Mario Barrios is, he has a decent jab, and good right hand and stuff like that. And he's got a lot of confidence. He beat Dennis Ugas and all of that. I'm not saying that Pacquiao can't beat Mario Barrios. I'm just saying he'll take so much punishment. I think with the Mario Barrios fight, it don't make no sense. Um, Pacquiao should stay out of professional boxing. You're 40 something years old. This is making no sense. Mario Barrios beating a 40 something year old guy doesn't help the situation. Pacquiao being a 47-year-old guy beating Mario Barrios would be a great thing, but the problem with it is Pacquiao will feel that he could go ahead and compete with these young bucks, and he's going to get hurt. He are going to get hurt. You're supposed to be fighting 40-something-year-olds now. At most, at least, the youngest you should fight is somebody's in their late 30s. Hold on a second. You know? You shouldn't be out there fighting some young 20-something-year-old person, man. And yeah, you may have more experience, but you're not gonna be able to pull the trigger like you used to. And clearly, he couldn't pull the trigger like he used to against a guy in an exhibition fight. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see that. Mario Barrios versus Jerome Boots Ennis, sure. Stanionis versus Jerome Boots Ennis, sure. This is contemporaries. He's in the welterweight division. Love to see. You know, um, love to see Boots unify, right? Whether he can get those fights is another story because he's across by the zone with Matchroom. But we'll see. I don't know. But what I do know is the fight that everybody want to see. The fight everybody want to see. See, those fights are cool, but they're not the fights that everybody want to see. Fight fans want to see him versus Bud, and Bud's running out of options. Supposedly Errol Spencer's facing Fundora. Okay. Bud just cleared out Madrimov. So that's basically it. Fundora got the WBC title. Errol Spencer will be facing him. I don't know who has the WBA right now. I don't know who has the IBF. I think Bud fought for is it the WBO and the WBA, I believe. I think those two belts were on the line. Something like that. Possibly. Anyways, the point is that I heard Jamel Charlo talking about trying to jump in the mix and fight either Bud or the winner of Fundora, Errol Spence. That would be good. But me personally, I think that the fight that I want to see is Bud versus Jerome Boots Ennis. And people say, well, that fight still ain't ready to be cooked because, Boots still don't got that experience. I'm like, no, you can't say that. You can't say that after he just fought a guy who just became champion in Israel Madrimov. You just can't say them things. Set it up. Let's move on to so Bud's future's more or less like this. It's either going to be Bud versus Boots. They're talking about Bud versus Virgil Ortiz. I don't know if Oscar's willing to sacrifice Virgil Ortiz like that to Bud, because Bud is gonna beat the brakes off of Virgil. I'm telling you that right now. So I don't think that's a good idea. I think Bud versus Ennis is a good idea. I think Bud versus the winner of Fundora. Errol Spence is a good idea. I know Bud said in the post fight that he's not interested in facing Errol Spence, but they may clash again. Again, I got Bud winning winning that. But regardless, it would make money. Now, let's talk about the undercard. We had a fight with Jarrell Miller. We had two Jarrell Millers, right? We had Baby Miller, Big Baby. We had Jarrell Miller versus Andy Ruiz. We had Big Baby, who got beaten by a very heavy puncher, knocked him down twice. And I think it was stopped, actually. I can't remember if it was stopped. No, I think it went to the cards. But Big Baby, Jarrell Miller, he got beat by, trying to remember the guy's name right now. It's a well-known name. It's kind of like an Eastern European name. I just can't remember it right now. Excuse me. I don't even know why I'm yawning. It's reflux. But once again, you know, I think he stepped up a little too much. But excuse me. Still a good fight because Miller had to test himself. You know, and the other guy was just huge. But even the huge size don't matter. It really was about him not staying in front of the guy. And you know, the guy was able to line up his power. He only wanted he was really looking for one or two shots. And he got the shots that he wanted. You know. He lined up his shots and he got him. Knocked him down once, and then he knocked him out, I think, later on in the fight. And I'm trying to remember if he got him out of there. I think he went to a decision. You know. So people are saying, well, Big Baby should it's not the end of the career for him. It's not the end of the road. Okay, it's not the end of the road, but he definitely needs to go back to the drawing board and work on his game because you know, that guy who he faced, you know, he's supposed to have boxed at least. And he wasn't able to do so. Guy was able to cut off the ring on him, get him in the corners, and beat on him. This is reflux that's doing this to me because I'm not sleepy at all. Now, with respect to Andy Ruiz versus Jared Miller, I'm not sure which one is Jarrell and which one's Jared. This is the other baby. Jared Miller, Andy Ruiz started to tire, and Jared hurt Andy Ruiz a couple times, but they both was trading shots. They both were doing their thing. It was ruled a draw. From what I saw, I thought that Jared Miller won it, but it was given a draw. Andy Ruiz did get hurt early in the fight, but came back. Excuse me. Man, this reflux is a pain. Reflux is actually trying to choke me. Right. So, you know, I thought that Miller took it. He did look different to when he fought Daniel Dubois. I don't know if he's still on the juice or he's going back on the juice, but he looked pretty good in this fight. Had better stamina and everything. Andy Ruiz faded coming down the stretch, but he was still fighting back. You know, he got hurt a couple times in the fight. Having said that, though, they ruled it a draw. It wasn't a robbery. I believe that uh, it's a fight you can run back again if you want to. It's a fight you can run back again. It's action packed. Not a whole lot of defense, but it was an action packed fight. Now, Pitbull Cruz versus Raul Valenzuela. Um, Pitbull hurt Raul early on, and Raul was able to take his punches. Raul was able to box him, pick him off, keep him off balance, and that's how he beat him. And we've seen this with Pitbull now a couple times. So the way to beat Pitbull is to outbox him for sure, keep him off balance. Pitbull still is getting some shots in. You're always going to close that distance, get that shots in, because he's tricky with his style. He does make adjustments, and his tenacity is incredible. But I did have Raul Valenzuela beating Pitbull Cruz. I think he won the fight at least 7-5, 8-4. 160, 112, 150, 113. That's about it. So on the undercard, it was a good undercard. Had some exciting fights. But I thought that people were talking about this is the greatest card ever, Teddy Atlas and stuff. I don't give it those superlatives. I don't go that far. But it was a good fight. It was good fights, solid fights. Turkey Al-Sheikh did his thing. He said, "I'm here in the U.S. now, and that's good." Looking forward to his next card. With respect to Shakur Stevenson, who was there, we saw Devin Haney that was there. We saw a number of boxers who were there. Andre Ward was there, of course, and several other boxers were there. Lomachenko, etc., etc. Boots was there. Boots was watching on because, again, Boots is there because he could be a potential opponent for Terrence Crawford. So Boots was there as well. Now, of course, there's always love between Crawford's family and Boots' family and so on. And so we saw that they cool with each other and everything. I want to say this, though. I want to say that when we look at the performances of the fighters on that night, I want to say that, they were guys who put it all on the line. And that's what you want to see. That's what makes fights entertaining. Shakur Stevenson was there. He kind of saw that Crawford was not going to stop Madrimov. And, there's the commentary from DAZN on that. But me personally, I think that when it comes to the 135-pound division, I think Shakur is a guy that's been looking for the smoke. He's been looking for the smoke with everybody, and this guy needs to get tested. He needs his skills tested. We need to see that smoke. I saw the interview with Keyshawn Davis, Shakur Stevenson, and Ryan Garcia. And it was so funny hearing Shakur say, the Ostarine. He was like, I didn't even train, I didn't even, drink properly and all that. I didn't even properly train for Devin Haney. And they're like, the Ostarine, which was really hilarious to hear Shakur say that over and over. Of course, Ryan's full of shit. He's not going to be able to face Shakur anytime soon. But it was nice to see Shakur, and Keyshawn, they going at every single fighter, trying to follow up on, will you fight me next, that kind of thing. So that's kind of cool to see. Shakur's been looking for an opponent, a really good one. And it should be Tank, just like how Haney versus Tank should have happened. Loma versus Tank should have happened. But as usual, Tank's going to duck Shakur. He's not going to face Shakur. And it's going to be what it's going to be. You know what I mean? So, with respect to Ryan Garcia, who's a fucking cheat as far as I'm concerned. I don't care what he says. And then that racist shit that he said, he can't take it back. Oh, I wasn't in my right, man. Fuck you, Ryan Garcia. You piece of shit. You know what I mean? RJ Jenkins says, "Where you been?" I've been everywhere, bro. I've been everywhere. You know, what's up, my bro? Don't forget to smash the like button. You can show me some love by donating to my channel as well. I know you win money. How did it go with the bets? Come on, show some love. Hit the like button, people, when you come through here. You know how much y'all came through here already? I saw 10 people come through here. None of y'all hit the like button. What's up with that? Don't y'all have love? You don't want to show love to people? I immediately hit like buttons. It doesn't matter if I agree with the guy or not. I come through, I'm watching your shit. I may not agree with you, but I'm going to hit the like button. You know what I'm saying? RJ Jenkins says, I want some money against Pitbull. Nice, nice. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. So spread some love, man. Y'all be making money, but y'all don't. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Nice. The like button is what I'm talking about. There you go. Just spread some love. You don't have to have money, or you don't have to give me money, but just show some love. That's all I'm saying. Because I talk boxing. You got to get Cash App. Yeah, I know PayPal's a bitch, but that's all I got for now, bro. I wish I had Cash App, but I don't have an American account. My PayPal works because I'm not too sure why. I have a credit card. That's why. My credit card is from a bank that, bro, some countries have some. Let me explain to you what's going on with me so you'll understand. My country has some real stupid ass rules. So one of the stupid ass rules that they had is supposedly to regulate white paper crime. And they limited, there was about I say 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I could have used Cash App and all those things and use my debit or credit card to do transactions like that. And then they changed the rules. They say, oh, this white collar crime. And they limited the amount of transactions you could do online. And the only reason I am doing this right now, and I got through with PayPal, is because I always had a PayPal account, even when I was in the US. So this account's still activated. Now, Cash App, I don't think I can use Cash App. Otherwise, bro, the donation feature on YouTube and Google, I will use it, but can't. So my fucking country with the restrictions, my government sucks, bro. My government sucks. I'm pretty sure they're gonna come out of power, and the other sucky government. It's like, what's happening in the US right now. You got two fascist governments that the Democratic Party pretends, the DNC pretends to be, I hate to go into politics, but I'm about to just like totally tear this apart. The DNC pretends like it's for the people. It's full of shit. It's for corporations, bro. And Donald Trump, he'll sing a tune that you want to hear, And don't get me wrong, some of his policies are good, but he don't give a fuck about y'all. I'm gonna tell y'all straight. Him, his whole thing, no. They bow down to corporations. They bow down to big money. I'm just letting you know. Both of them will suck. You know what I mean? If y'all want to vote for somebody, I know I'm not American, but whatever, I'm still going to say it. Y'all want to vote for somebody fresh who at least talk the rhetoric. We're going to see if she will walk the walk, because all politicians are almost the same. They're all full of shit. Jill Stein. She's not taking any big interest money, right? She's with the Green Party. Y'all must have heard about them. I'm not American, so please understand that. But I've been in several campaigns where, dealing with American movies and entertainment. I've been with certain movements, that Americans are involved in. So if you feel I'm interfering with your right to vote, all I'm telling y'all to do is this. Go check out the Green Party and Jill Stein, because the Democratic Party has been stealing ideas from the Green Party for years. Now, y'all might say they're extremely left, whatever. I don't give a fuck. Go check it out. Check out the Green Party. Check out what they stand for. Check out Jill Stein's campaign. All right? That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, because fuck that. But I'm just telling you, the Green Party, at least the policies that they have and stuff, in my opinion, if you're a human being now, you may not agree with me, because a lot of people in the fighting community are more towards Trump and right wing, and that's cool. I understand, and I'm not mad at y'all. You know, I get why y'all would support Donald Trump. I get what you're saying. His record speaks for itself in some respects with policy. So I get what you're saying. Don't get me wrong. He does have some good policies. I don't hate Donald Trump or anything like that. Like that. You know what I'm saying? Policy wise. What he says, his rhetoric is bullshit. Some of his rhetoric is just inflammatory. But when you look at his policies, they're pretty good. Now, some of them. You know, this the president that didn't have no wars under him. You know what I'm saying? That's a plus, right? This is what Jill Stein's saying. She's also anti-war. She's anti this stuff. So I'm not saying, I want to make it abundantly clear. There are certain policies that Donald Trump implemented, and there's certain policies for minorities and the black community, particularly the black business community, that have really helped and benefited people of color and stuff like that. So I'm not here to say blanketly that Donald Trump didn't do good things. I'm just saying his allegiance is not to the people. His allegiance is to his fucking donors. Okay, he's a businessman. He's a corporate man. Don't expect him to ever hold your hand in things like social welfare policies for the very poor. He's not going to do that. He'll help you. He'll help businesses climb up, right? Under him, you know, the black business community did much better than ever before. Now, you could say that some of Barack Obama's policies trickled over into him and he was a beneficiary of that. You can say all of that too. I'm not mad at you, but I'm just saying. RJ Jenkins says, anyone who come up in politics is for the take. Trump don't owe anyone anything. Yeah, I hear you. Like I said, I understand where you're coming from, but I'm just telling you right now, though. I'm just telling you right now, bro. His allegiance is not to you. He's not to the people. So if you're thinking he going in there to represent me and to help me, fuck no. He's not. Okay? And I agree with certain Republican what is the word I'm looking for? I agree with certain Republican arguments. Like, I don't believe the federal government should have so much power. I think it should be left in the hands of the individual states. And I think that, you know, just like in my country, we have our country is a democratic socialist republic. Okay. Your country is a democratic republic. Okay. Representation. You have representation at the state level and you have representation at the overall federal level to kind of join the states together and to represent the states in a bigger form, right? So proportional representation is very important, right? Proportional representation is very important. And, you know, people dispute whether, you know, the United States is a republic or if it's democracy. It is both. Okay. My country's the same, except we have socialist programs. And again, for those people who do not know what socialism is, I would direct you very strongly to Canada, to even the Western European countries that have socialist programs. Socialism is not necessarily communism. Okay? There are forms of socialism which are oppressive. But by and large, socialism just deals with the basic human rights to make sure those things are satisfied. And just to get the point across, I know I've kind of diverged from boxing for a second, but just to get the point across, I'm almost on a minute. Smash that like button, people. Do I need to say that? I don't need to say that. If you think it's good, you'll smash the like button. Yeah, I digress, but nonetheless, let me get this point out. Basic human rights. Social Security in the United States of America is a socialist program. You understand? Now, that's why you have a Social Security number. Now, America is by and large a capitalist society. And almost, you know, you look at China. China is a capitalist society, but it's a communist society. Okay. Now, the problem with communism is not what it is. Okay. Communism is not bad. Socialism is not bad. The problem with communism is corrupt governments. Because the state has its hands in almost everything, the state could manipulate the media, the state could manipulate healthcare, the state. So if you speak against the state, for example, if, when they had the protest in China, in Tiananmen Square, right? And they had to crack down with the police and that shit that you saw in China. Now we're seeing it all over the world, right? We even seeing it in Western societies. We saw the riots in the UK just recently, right? We saw fascism when anti-Semitic legislation was passed to quell the protest in the colleges, to quell free speech. That's fascism. Okay. And so people always associate fascism with communism because the governments rule with an iron fist and they take away freedoms of people. But communism does not take away people's freedom. It's more of a consensus sort of way of approaching things, a collective way of approaching things. Socialism doesn't take away people's freedoms. It's supposed to address the social human rights of individuals, ensuring that their human rights are held in order. The right to healthcare, the right to making sure that you're taken care of in your old age and your pension and stuff like that, that you have a pension. Okay, that's what Social Security is for, right? The right to free speech. Okay, these are rights that must be defended, protected, and also it must be supported. So that's what socialism is supposed to be about. Okay, and so the Social Security, and you realize it's some fuckery going on here. So y'all need to pay attention, right? How much of the American budget, a huge chunk of the American budget, goes to Social Security? To this day, the government of the United States of America cannot pay. They're still in arrears when it comes to Social Security. Why the fuck would you be in arrears for Social Security? Think about what I'm saying. Then that means you have to budget cut something, right? You look at the federal budget, right? And half of the expenditure goes to Social Security because they are arrears, because they haven't paid all the Social Security to people. So you have Social Security, but it's not a blanket or a basket or a nest that covers most of Americans. Remember, more than half of the revenue that comes from Americans is in taxes, right? It's in taxes. The other set of revenue that comes in to the United States of America comes through corporate structures and businesses, which pay taxes as well to the government, right? Of course, the capitalism end of the spectrum. Now, we're just talking about the federal government. What do they get? Okay. Of course, it's the taxes or the income that comes in from the business's activity that's what fuels the economy. So the bulk of the American economy comes from taxes from people and taxes from multi international corporations. Now, what y'all need to understand is it's not that the government, the bulk of the taxes come from you. You always pay most of the debt, right? They're fucking you over. They do the same thing in my country. They do the same in most Western countries. They fuck over the people, and all the people get to do is vote every 4 years or protest in the streets. So they be fucking y'all over. That's the federal government. Now, when it comes to individual states, they're closer to home. So you have to pay attention to what's going on in your individual state. You need to pay attention to what's going on in your individual county, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because the more localized, the more autonomy you can have localized in your area is the better your area can be. You can't wait for something distant way down there in the federal government to help you. And the federal government is behaving like fucking adolescents, man. They're behaving like little kids right now. They're very, very incompetent and very, very ineffective. And they're so distant from you that the trickle down effect, even when they talk about their stats, like, oh, unemployment is down and there are more jobs. But that's not what's reflected on the ground in the individual states. Some states even worse than other states. Philadelphia is really suffering, right? There's a tremendous drug epidemic in Philadelphia. There are tremendous problems in other states, and even in Middle America, there's a lot of problems, right? So that trickle down is not happening. All this bullshit about things are more jobs, probably with the federal government, but not collectively, not into private sector. That shit isn't happening like how it's with the people. And this is the point. And it's the same shit happening in my country. It's the same shit. A lot of people are just not happy with their governments anymore. Their governments seem to be just fattening the pockets of multi-corporational companies. The big business in a country do very, very well, while killing and draining and retrenching and firing and the common guy. That's the shit that's going on globally, in Europe, in Africa, here, in the Caribbean, in America. There is a separation of the very, very wealthy from the very, very poor. We've seen it over and over again. So that is why I'm telling y'all have to break that fucking cycle. See those two big monoliths, the RNC and DNC? They not for you. They don't give a fuck about you. Okay? That's the truth. I'm being honest. The same thing happening in my country. Same thing. Supposedly a democracy. Those people don't care about you. They don't. They care about how much money they can make from lobbyists, from Wall Street, by investing in this and investing in that, based on laws they pass. These fuckers. So they're making tons and tons of money, while you and I, we gotta be scrapping for the scraps. Just saying. Now you ask yourself, how would communism work with that? Well, communism, depending again on if you got corrupt governments, if you got a corrupt oligarchy, it doesn't matter what system you run. Because these motherfuckers are still going to make sure that the rich become richer and the poor become poor. It's just what it is. So, is communism bad? No. Is socialism bad? No. Is democracy bad? No. Is capitalism bad? No. It's how these fucking corrupt people break laws or make laws to break the original laws so that corruption can continue and they can benefit. It's about being a beneficiary. They passed that lobbying law a couple years back so that motherfuckers could cheat and steal elections by pumping in money and pumping in negative ads to influence public opinion, because they know how to do advertising to influence public opinion and to sway public opinion. Now, y'all got to be wise enough not to buy into that bullshit. And that's why I said, y'all need to know on your county level what's going on. Y'all need to know what's going on your state level, because that's really where you need to be at. And then find out who represents you on the federal level and look to see if that person's living up to whatever it is that you required of them in representation when all the states come together, the reps of the states, that is, and the different sections of the states, to talk and make sure that they push through whatever it is that you want. You got to hold them accountable. Because right now, big business is running politics, not you guys. And they shooting all kinds of propaganda at your face so they could get their objectives done. And y'all being played like motherfuckers. You know. Anyways, go check out Dr. Jill Stein and the Green Party. The other options you got out there, the Libertarians. You got Cornel West, but he's an independent. You got another independent guy out there. Y'all need to pay attention, man. Y'all need to get smart. Y'all need to get smart out here. Now, the problem is a lot of these independents, they can't be on every single ballot because they don't got no party behind them. That's why I tell y'all, check out the Green Party. The Green Party came on the scene somewhere in 2016 as well. They were able to participate in elections 2016, 2017, something like that. And then we also had Ralph Nader back in the day in the 90s. You know, we had Mr. Buchanan, who was an independent. He ran as well. He was a good guy again. So y'all, anyway, I'm getting off the target, but I just thought I'd talk about that because, you know, I'm very passionate about certain other things besides what I'm talking about here. Anyway, back to what's that? Boxing, right? So, with respect to boxing, okay? And we know that a lot of people who are Christians or Muslims who are in boxing, right? And that's how we know, you know, that Russia is not our enemy. Russia is not our enemy. I'm not saying Ukraine's our enemy either, but I'm just saying Russia's not our enemy. A lot of Muslims in Russia. We got a lot of Christians in Russia. Anyway, I'm going off target. Sorry about it. Yeah, so back to boxing. Okay, there's a couple things other than that we could talk about. You know, Christian Shields, of course, a win against the heavyweight, who was really a light heavyweight, but I mean, whatever. And they were basically fighting a light heavyweight fight, but whatever. Christian Shields, man, I've seen her on Instagram. She looks fine. She looks in tip-top shape when it comes to boxing. You know, she looks good also. She carries herself with a certain degree of class. It's really cool. I don't know what's next for her. Maybe you guys can suggest an opponent. I think, you know, unfortunately, the young lady who was supposed to come up and beat her, she got beat by, what's her name? Actually, I would love to see Clarissa Shields rematch. I forgot what her name is right now. The girl from Britain, from the UK. I like to see, because she beat, what's her name? I forgot what her name is right now. She beat the, I can't remember her name. I can see it, but I can't remember it fully. The young lady that beat Shadisha Green. Who beat Shadisha Green again? I forgot what her name is. But yeah. So anyway, we are out on something in. Y'all talk about some other topics in boxing y'all want to see happen, but yeah, it's still an exciting time in boxing. We got a lot of good fights on the horizon. I like to see what Devin Haney would face next. You know, I'm still a Devin Haney fan, obviously. I'm interested in seeing what would happen with because the landscape has changed a bit, right? We got at 140 we have Teofimo Lopez. Devin Haney though is going up to 147, I heard. But in the landscape of 140, we got Teofimo Lopez, who might still be at 140. We got that Australian kid that beat the Puerto Rican kid. We got now Valenzuela, who just beat Pitbull Cruz. They may run it back. We'll see. And we have Devin vacated. So this guy beat who he beat, man? Come on now. He beat he beat Gary Russell Jr. The guy that beat Gary Russell Jr., he became WBC champion. Good boxer, Puello, right? Puello beat he beat Antoine Russell, right? Good fighter. Nice boxing skills. So we got 140 pound division is really an interesting division. Even though Devin Haney probably is moving out of it, I would have loved to see him fighting it, but I don't know. Maybe he thinks, you know, he's too big for that now and he's going to fight 147, which is all well and good. I would love to see him rematch Ryan Garcia as well, but they're going to need to strap down Ryan Garcia, make sure you don't cheat. I'm pretty sure it'll be a different fight when he doesn't cheat. But of course, Ryan's probably doping out of season, so that's another thing y'all have to pay attention to. They're supposed to be monitoring me around. Actually, Vada's supposed to be testing me around. Somebody's supposed to be testing me around. I think it's the NYSAC. I think said that he has to be tested year round. So that's very interesting as well. Um, I hope they're following up with that. You know, the New York State Athletic Commission. One thing I got to give them props for is they're generally on it when it comes to calling cheats and stuff. So that's really good. I just thought 1 year was too short of time, but whatever. Now, with respect to yeah, the 140-pound division, it's stacked. We got Jack Catterall in there. We got Sandor Martin in there. We got who else we got? Teofimo Lopez. We got Jermaine Ortiz. These are all good fighters we're talking about here. Now we have Raul Valenzuela, Pitbull Cruz, the Puerto Rican kid, the Australian kid. I can't remember the Australian kid's name right now. We got a really good set of 140 pounders in that division. You know. Now I'm hearing that maybe Devin Haney will face, if he, it might be that Devin Haney faces next, possibly um, the guy that faced Gervonta Tank Davis, who's currently the WBC champ. I forgot what his name is. Um, just blanked out on me. Whatever his name. It's possible he might face him. We might see Devin Haney versus Boots. Who knows? You know what I mean? That would be great. Let's say Devin Haney beats uh uh the long rangy guy that Tank faced and who fought Keith Thurman. Help me with this name, people. He fought Keith Thurman. He fought Tank. He fought Dennis Ugas. He beat Dennis Ugas. You know, he hurt Keith Thurman. I just can't remember his name for nothing. For all of a sudden, I blank. I guess age, right? But I would love to see that fight, right? So Devin Haney versus him would be good. The guy's long, rangy, so that'd be good. That's good fundamentals, good jab and everything. So that'd be a good fight. I love to see Haney versus Boots, and that's very possible on the zone because Boots is with Matchroom. So if Devin Haney can somehow, you know, get past the Mexican kid, the Mexican American kid, he could be in the runnings for a Boots Ennis fight, which is going to be a huge fight. Remember, Devin Haney's former undisputed lightweight champion, and he's got a resume. Even though he had a no contest against Ryan Garcia, he faced Ryan Garcia as well as he faced Vasily Lomachenko, a Hall of Famer. So I love to see that. I love to see that fight. Regis Prograis, he's supposed to be jumping in the ring with. Who is he supposed to be jumping in the ring with? Help me out here. Who's Regis Prograis supposed to be facing? He has a fight coming up. You guys know the names. Come on now. You guys know the names. Archie Jenkins says Trump is the chosen one. Chosen one of what? Oh, you believe that shit too? Y'all be brainwashed. Y'all be brainwashed. All right. We'll see if he's the chosen one. I don't know about that. I don't believe he's chosen for shit. I think now Kamala Harris, she be talking. She be talking the way how a lot she talking populist. You know what I'm saying? She's talking what you want to hear. But when you really dig into the details of what they're doing right now, she and Biden's doing right now, they hunting down people like Scott Ritter. They're trying to intimidate people like Scott Ritter. They're trying to intimidate. Look what they did on college campuses. Yes, her VP is more of a guy in line with, progressive values and whatever, because I'm more of a progressive than anything else. But I do, again, believe that federal government shouldn't have so much power that it has. I also don't think that the Supreme Court ruled legally on the status of the president of a country. So I think again, there's a lot of illegal stuff. And let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell you all something, so y'all will understand where I'm coming from. One, I don't believe, from my impression of Americans, they take shit sitting down. Americans don't take shit sitting down. There's a reason why. They have a right to bear arms. They became an independent country from Britain because of their right to bear arms. So they take that very, 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 very strongly, right? If there is to be a civil war in America, it could very much happen. Because like I said before, there's a tension between the federal government and the individual states. So if individual states don't like the shit that's going down, they're just going to say, fuck y'all, fuck this union, and they're going to go to civil war, right? That's why I said too much power. I believe, all right, so let me explain something to you guys. And again, I'm going back into politics, unfortunately, but let's do it. The federal government is not there to lord it over individual states and to tell individual states what they should or shouldn't do. They're just a fucking guide. Take, for instance, issues of abortion. You trying to make federal law on abortion is stupid because the individual states have individual cultures. You can put a general guide on abortion, like for specifics, not specific situation, but general sweeping statements about abortion, and leave it up to the individual states to decide how they want to administrate that based on their culture, based on their population. That's how the federal government's supposed to really be acting. It's supposed to be a general sweeping, something that encompasses all the states so that all the states can agree with it. You understand? Some states are ridiculously one direction and some other states are ridiculously the other direction. And when you think about it, it's like these LGBT issues and certain things that are non-negotiable as human rights. But with respect to certain other things, it should be left in the hands of the individual states how they want to rule on that. Because America is not made up, at least the US of A, is not made up of one place where everybody thinks the same way. No, it's a gradation of stuff. That's why I said federal government should not be meddling in personal affairs and personal lives of people. This is why certain states, whether they're red states or not, particularly now, with respect to what's going on, you know, with the blue government trying to legislate certain things, the red states are like, hey, man, you interfering with, how we conduct affairs. Because the way how the law is passed is bad. It's bad law. You're supposed to be able to give the states leeway, even with Obamacare, right? Which is a third option, right? Which is it was kind of good, but it's still shit, okay? Because it's not what the Green Party wants universal health care, adjust Medicaid, adjust Medicare, make it more streamlined, Medicaid and Medicare. A lot of people steal money out of that. It's still very cumbersome and incompetent, and it's sucking a lot of money, right? So the Green Party wanted to address that, not so much the Obamacare insurance. They were going to do what is called a pay system, right? Which would have worked better. Anyway, the point is, that's a suggestion. The individual states, now it's up to the individual states to rule on that. That's the problem with America. They're over. The federal government feels over. I don't have no respect for the individual states, and that's what is the problem here. You have to respect the admitted. That's why the individual states, they have their own Supreme Courts. They have their own committees and their own Congresses to meet. And if you're just puppeting something from the federal government, then you don't have no autonomy and you have no say. You're just a puppet of it, which is fascist again. Individual states will be able to make decisions on whatever the federal government agrees on. And if the federal government has a sort of more all-encompassing sort of law, then it gives the federal states the leeway to fine-tune that law how they best see fit. Because you go across America, the value systems change. The mores change from state to state. So you can't be passing laws that restrict certain states on certain things, which is not right. The only grounds you have to come from where it's non-negotiable, it's just like with Social Security is non-negotiable, is where human rights issues. Now, let me explain what I mean. So, for example, the right for free speech. Okay, and the Supreme Court kind of covers this, right? The right for free speech is non-negotiable. It's non-negotiable, right? The right to eat and feed your family is non-negotiable. So people got to work and they got to make money. The minimum wage, this is something, again, that a lot of people, because there are people that work and then there are people who do business, right? There are two major ways people get income. Through business, some of them through NGOs, and some of them through working for other people, jobs, right? So it's non-negotiable that people must be able to work however they do to get money, right? That's non-negotiable. However, when it comes to the minimum wage, the problem the federal government is doing is just stamping into law this specific amount, not considering the individual states and which employers can actually keep up with that. The minimum wage should have a range so that the states could now work with that range so that states that can afford to pay X, Y, and Z, they will legislate on that, where they want on this range to have their pay scale, because not every single state can afford to pay their workers X, Y, and Z as a minimum. And this is what a federal government should be sensitive to, having heard the different arguments from the representation of the different states. That's what the fuck the Congress is for. That's what the fuck the Senate is for, with representation. So that they have a gradation. So that you can go to the highest end or you can go to the lowest end. Some states can go higher. California, the standard of living, the cost of living is very high. So we would expect in states like California, they would pass proportional minimum wages to accommodate that. In states, and Southern California, mind you, not Northern California, okay? Northern California is much more affordable. In places like Arkansas, in places like Missouri, in places like, where they can't afford that much. You can't be pushing them to do a minimum wage. You close down businesses. So the point I'm making, I'm trying to remember the name of the place. It's just where the Hurricane Katrina came. Where Louisiana, St. Louis, right? St. Louis. You have to be careful. You say the minimum wage is $25, let's say. Okay. But sometimes you gotta have a range. So it's not just 25. It's not just etched in stone. $25. Federal range. No. Because if you're gonna do that, then you gotta boost the businesses so they can afford to pay that minimum wage. Right? So you have to give the businesses incentive. Not only incentive, you gotta give them serious incentive. Because let's say I have 10 workers, right? You boost the minimum wage by $25. The minimum wage was before, it was somewhere around $17, $18, right? So now you're going up to 25, right? Which is about $7 more. You have 10 workers. That's $70 more per hour you have to pay out. And this is what the federal government's not thinking. Because you can't just think about the workers. You have to think about the business. Can it survive? Remember, these businesses are not getting a big chunk of the federal money. They have to generate their own money. And this is the unfair part of federal wage. Now, the federal workers might get paid really good, right? So the federal wage with federal workers, they might get paid. But that doesn't mean everybody's getting paid that. And that's why I said it's important for the individual states, to be a part of this, to be a significant part of this process. It should come down to them. It shouldn't come down to the federal government. And that's why I agree with the Republicans in terms of independence. Furthermore, these stupid laws that are passed in the federal government, wasting taxpayers' money. There's some stupid laws that are being passed. Okay? You look at the waste of money for things like the bridge in Palestine that served absolutely no good use to the Palestinians. Zero. 400 million US dollars just thrown down the drain. You see exorbitant amounts of money being paid out both to the military complex, the guys on Wall Street, they get the kickbacks, right? Somebody's pocket's full. It's corruption, but it's legalized corruption because you got all these lawmakers making law to allow for these people to get money they don't deserve to get. They're not working for it. It's a kickback, and a big kickback, and it's corrupt. And this is taxpayers' money mostly. All right, some business community money, taxpayers' money. Now, some people say, well, why don't we tax businesses a little higher? And that would take care of all debts and everything. Well, the problem with it is some businesses are outsourcing labor to other countries where they can get optimal tax breaks. Right? This is the problem. So when you try to tax, but again, you can't do this. You cannot tax more, or at least, how do I put this? You can't tax more the rich. So you may not be able to tax the businesses, but if you earn a certain amount of money, they may look at, okay, so instead of giving you all these tax breaks that you get, so you have this fat check, let me take a piece of that check. The problem with that is this, okay? Because the wealthy get taxed less by far than the poor. And then they already know the law, so they even get taxed even less than that, right? They get a lot of benefits. They get a lot of kickbacks. The thing about it is to be able to nab that, and I know I'm way off target of boxing right now. I'm talking about something totally different. But the way to nab that is not to tax the businesses themselves, but also not to target the individuals and do what we call illegal, because it's illegal to tax them more than the laws already required them to be taxed, and the loopholes that they have, right? So how do you get some of that, just a small percentage of that money back, so that it can pretty much change the whole economy, and yet at the same time make these extremely wealthy people put in a little bit more to help the society, even though they're doing what is required by law, and even though they are taxed less than say the common guy out there that's taxed way less. Even so, that they work hard to get there, right? Now, that's the question. How do we get, not proportional, we can't even talk about proportional taxing. That's not happening. But how can we get a little bit more tax dollars out of the extremely wealthy people who the bulk of money is going to anyway? That's the question. And each of these people, I'll tell you the answer. It's really a tricky answer, but I'm going to tell you what I think. Each of these people belong to a state. Instead of the federal government taxing them, an incentive could be brought to them via individual states that choose to do so, for them to donate into the state. That way, these people are able to enhance the local community and not the federal community where they are at. So that instead of tax breaks, they get to do incentivize. They pump back money into that area. So you can think of it as an investment even, right? Take, for instance, Skid Row in, or I guess it's called Skid Row in California. The business communities and the wealthy people who live proximally in that area, in that state, should take the responsibility upon themselves, and incentives by the state should be there to have these people pour back into this and have programs in place or funding in place and the necessary NGOs or the necessary organizations in place to give back. In other words, you're encouraging the very, very wealthy to give back instead of trying to tax them. The reason being, it's very unfair for someone who has reached that level, legally is entitled to X, Y, and Z, so they get a lot of tax breaks, to want to extract the money from them by force through taxes. But if you incentivize them to invest back into the direct communities where there's problems, you have to put an incentive there. Okay, X, Y, and Z, you get this if you do this. Then, because think about it this way. If and for small business understands this, if you pump into a community, you're putting the community at an advantage where it can procure more of your product by you pumping back into the community. Because now you have more individuals who are capable, because of their ascension, you will have more individuals capable of buying into your products. And every time you pump back into the community, you advertise yourself. So you have your brand and everything, you put up your thing, and this is sponsored by X, Y, and Z. So you pump back in. Skid Row, homeless people, right? Which I have a heart for. You take that community and you rehabilitate it as much as you can. Again, not by force. These people have to decide if they want to elevate themselves, and if not, then maybe they want a place to stay. You have affordable housing for them. Again, the business community can make this possible. The affordable housing, you gotta have affordable renting program, whatever. But the people have their freedom to have their own space. They can decompress, relax. Some of them will take years to catch up by themselves, whatever. It's a long-term investment. But the point is, you now can take that area that's not as occupied and you can develop it into something else for community programs, again, for people to be able to develop their skills and abilities. And by doing so, you get more clients, you have your advertising, and you get that community to go in an upward direction. In other words, what I'm saying is investment into communities by the very, very rich is what we need. We don't need them to necessarily extract and pay, even though that would be great. But I actually feel that they would, when you have your name and your brand on something, you have ownership of it. And now you really want to see it progress. And I think the ownership of, because what happens with these oligarchs is they have power now. They have a lot of power and they don't know what to do with it. And so they tend to amass more power and they get into all these corrupt schemes and all these corrupt things because they're multinational corporation, right? But if you let them have ownership over something they have actual power over, that they could do, whatever innovative ideas, whatever they come up with, it helps them to be able to give back in substantial ways where your tax dollars, and in localized areas where your tax dollars, where their tax dollars transform the economy to the extent which the debt that used to be used to pay homeless people and the debt that used to handle, you don't have to deal with that anymore. That's where the debt starts to disappear, because now, yes, you're a multinational corporation, but you're based in the United States, so you should give back to the United States. This is the key. And good law, whether it's federal or it's local, good law would incentivize these businesses, both medium and large, particularly the medium and large businesses, to push their brands into development and rehabilitation and resuscitation of very depressed areas. Because if those depressed areas rise up and they're commercial areas, it's more business for you. And now you're targeting an audience which is capable of buying your products and services. And your products and services will be well known in those areas because it's like a brand. It's like the brand in the area because this is the brand that did this and did that for us and did this and did that for us. So, they go to the brand. So that's what I'm saying. And to me, that's why I said this federal law thing can be very cumbersome and very stupid, because when the states that implement what I just said implement it and it's successful in its implementation, based on whatever is going on there, other states could copy it if they so choose, but it should be something that's of choice. The federal government can facilitate this by putting general law in place, a general law which the states again can accept or refute. They can decide they want to do it or they don't want to do it. You put something general. You create a argument and you put this general sweeping thing. Federal government's not supposed to be putting any specific kind of laws, like very specific laws. You're not supposed to. That's for the individual states to do. It's a sweeping something. Even the Supreme Court. There's Supreme Courts in the states, in each state. The Supreme Court, anything that goes to the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court, should be like the last thing. And it's like, okay, I'm going to rule on this. Let's see what we get. And we'll look at the history and all of this. We'll look at what happened in individual states and so on, right? So it's not supposed to be something that can't be resolved within a state. Federal government is supposed to be something that you got the individual states. They're supposed to do their job, right? They'll figure out what's on the ground, what the underground's supposed to be. So let them do that. But at the same time, the federal government can do it like a sweeping something that's kind of general. It's not supposed to be very specific on any specific thing. A consensus amongst Republicans, Democrats, and Colorado with, Arizona with, Portland, from one end of the spectrum to the next, New York, whatever, Kansas, Missouri, Texas. They all have a consensus on something. That's what's supposed to happen. It's not supposed to be adversarial, because everybody's supposed to understand everybody's perspective. Okay, so down in North Dakota, this is what's going on. Okay, I got you. Montana, that's what you're saying? Okay. So they can form a consensus on something so that when they pass a law, it's general. It's not supposed to be so specific on all the specifics, because you're not trying to preach to the states. They already have their leadership. They already have their own system. They have their own culture. They're going to decide what's going, but you give them a framework, a general framework, and they fill in the blanks and they decide, okay, we're going this. Well, no, we're not going that. We're not going that. Well, no, I don't agree with that, so I'm not going that. Okay? Because you should be able to disagree with the federal government. You should be able, as a state, you should be able to say, I'm not doing that. Sorry, that's just not happening here. That's not how here works. And my representation wasn't forceful enough to get you guys to understand that so you could make the proper law. So we're just not doing that. Okay? It should be able to do that. Otherwise, you're going to get a police state. You're going to have people with their rights and human rights and freedoms restricted and destroyed. Right? As well, individual states should be able to have some say on the taxpayers' money and how the federal government uses the taxpayers' money. Individual states, representation for individual states is, hey, we don't want our tax money doing that. It ain't happening. No, it ain't happening. You should be able to say that because that's what your representation is supposed to do. It's not individual senators' opinions. It's about the state opinion. It's not about the individual Congress people's opinion. Whatever your personal opinion is, that's your personal opinion. It's what your state is saying. You're representing your state. You're not representing yourself. How you personally feel is totally different to how your state feels. And that's something that people need to understand. You're a representative of a state. You're not representing yourself. You may be part of your state, and you may agree with what the state is saying, but that's not the point. You are representing a state. You're not representing yourself. What your personal feelings are on things is totally different to what you represent. You may represent something diametrically opposed. You're diametrically opposed to what your state's saying. But that's not what you're going into Congress, and that's not what you're going to the Senate for. You know what I'm saying? And that's very important. It's very important for people to understand. And that relationship between the senator or the congressperson and his individual state and the governors and the people that govern their state, it should be a relationship there. Needs to know what the state's saying, and not just through the governor. You need to go visit your state, walk grounds in your state, walk all. It's not just for election time. You have to walk the grounds and see what your state's saying on a regular basis. And it's another thing. They need to decentralize where the federal government is. Federal government should be able to go from state to state to state to state to state having their sessions. They should be traveling all over the country to hear, keep their ears to the ground, hear what the legislators in the individual states have to say, but also at least once every year, you should be on the ground in one state or the other. Maybe not all the states, with it. Maybe if you do a 4-year period, you should be on the ground hearing the people, just hearing the people. Otherwise, you're going to be so far removed from the people because you only hear legislator people, legislator. You got to get in touch with the people. For a government to properly function, people have to severely disagree with one another to hash out things. They have to. And they should. You have 50 states. They're all different. To hash out something so that everybody can come to a consensus on something is going to be difficult. But it's important that people see how the federal government works, that the federal government is not accountable to all these lobbyists and these corporations on Wall Street, which are affiliated with the military, making you just a fucking You're just like China. When we stop and think about it, it's just you're more subtle with it. China's communists. Their military is their pride. Americans, they say they're a democracy, but they're really capitalists. And their military is their pride. Let's not fuck around here, man. So if you're really for the people, like I said before, then show it. Pass good law. Let the individual states do what they do. Then you're really showing me that you're more of a democracy than anything else. Otherwise, what the fuck you calling them states for? Why are you calling them different states? Yeah, we're heading towards a police state. We're heading towards, lack of elections and stuff like that. And one of the downsides to a republic, and we've seen this before, is the fact that a republic, you know, every 4 years it could change. So sometimes policy is not consistent. And then you only have a certain amount of terms for a particular, for example, individual to be president or whatever. Now, having said that, policy doesn't really change that much as people think with America. See, if you're following policy, that's a totally different thing to following rhetoric and all the stuff that goes on out there, right? Because a lot of times successful governments, it's the same thing in my country, they follow the same policy. They're going down a certain line. Okay, but they had theatrics. They like political theatrics. We call it politricky. Okay, they trick you with theatrics, so you be careful with that. But yeah, there's a lot to be said. I know I went off on a tangent here. I'm supposed to be talking about boxing. It's 2 hours in, but I just had to say it because y'all need to see beyond the fucking mirage that they be setting you up with. And y'all be like worshiping people. Like, fuck that. Look at their policies. Look at what they're running on. That's what you need to do. Stop. Man, y'all so brainwashed. And I've seen it globally. They be like, oh yeah, this guy's great as president. Yeah. No, don't give a fuck about that. What is it? What's his policy? What is the policy of the party? What is the policy of this regime? That's what I care about. Oh, this guy, he said, my God. Shut the fuck up with that shit. Nobody want to hear that. People want to eat. People want to see results. I don't give a fuck how nice his personality is. Barack Obama was looked like a nice person, but the motherfucker's policies was terrible. Some of them was horrible. His engagement in wars, his assassination of leaders globally. The motherfucker was a terrible person. Okay? Under his leadership. But he all smiling with you, winsome ways. Fuck that. I want to know your policy. I want to know your policy. And that's what the business community, they don't get bullshit over. If your policy is not in line with what they want, they stop funding you. And they start, you're your enemy all of a sudden, right? Right? They want to get rid of your ass. And they know that. They understand that. Because they're the ones influencing policy. They're the ones influencing opinion. In almost every society, the business community has a lot of sway. Right? That's capitalism for you. But it's up to you to be understanding that and be savvy enough to understand that they're trying to sway your mind. And don't just be some naive asshole who you're just echoing chants. You're not really thinking for yourself. I mean, y'all got to wake the fuck up, man. Y'all got to wake up. Check the policies. Fuck everything else. Doesn't matter what they say. Watch the policy. I want to see what your campaign's based on. If you just name calling people and you just trying to trash people and you just an entertainment value, fuck you. You ain't got nothing to give. But if you are talking policy, now I got to see if you for real. Because if you talking policy, because again, politicians know how to talk, but do they know how to walk the walk? That's the question. All of them, right? So they come with these policies. Now I'm gonna hold you to your policy. Let's see if you can follow. And if you don't, you have to have a backup problem. You have to have a backup plan as a collective. Y'all need to roll as collectives. Because guess what? The ultimate power and the people who are paying the most is fucking you. You're paying the money. You pay most of the money. All these lobbyist groups, all Wall Street, all these motherfuckers, they don't pay like you do. They may pay out lump sums, but you be paying 2.2, what is it? The revenue is 2.2 trillion or some shit like that, or some shit like that. There's $2.2 trillion in tax money every year. 2.4, 2.6, whatever. Fuck it. That's a lot of money. Y'all be paying this shit. So you're the major customer of the government of your country. So anything you want to ask for, ask. Otherwise, don't pay a fucking tax dollar ever again. Say, fuck the government. I ain't paying no more money. And they go broke. Because they can't exist without you. Which means if you want accountability, your fucking ass be paying for it. They be extracting money from your money, your bills, your job, whatever. They just go in and take your money like that. They shouldn't be doing that. They should say, please, may I have your money? Think about what I'm saying. You have more power than you think. That's why they have you in the equation. But they have y'all lulled to sleep and they playing mind games with your fucking ass because you're not smart enough to understand the game. You're being played like this. They like, fuck you. We're going to give you whatever we care about. And then they sing this tune and you go and you vote for them. And then what? They say, fuck you. Nothing going to change. Right? That's what you get. You get a big fuck you. So you have to decide, motherfuckers, what it is you really about. Think about what I'm saying. You got the power. Still. Not for much longer, because they're going to take it from you. But you still got the power. That's all I got for you guys. I'm what you need. Been watching my channel. I let you guys know, y'all, everything you say counts. It's also being recorded. They got massive surveillance systems that collect information on you on a daily with your phones. But the point is, everything you say counts. All right? And if there's a pushback, it means it did count. So remember what I just said, okay? Because I'm part of several different movements. And we've all got results. We always do. So what you say counts. Just remember that. Part of the BDS movement. They trying to make it, they've made it illegal for certain countries, companies to do so, but fuck them. See, they need our money. That's what you got to understand. All these entertainment industries, all the different industries, they need your work. They need your know-how and your work skills. They still need it. They don't have the technology yet in the mass that they need to replace you, but they will soon have that. They're still working prototypes. So while you have some fucking say, you better start making your voice heard. And they better hear you. I watched Starbucks go down the tube. Right now, Starbucks is suffering because motherfuckers said, fuck Starbucks. You understand? You have a lot of power. And since we live in a capitalist society, they need you. Now, I'm going to tell you one more thing before I get out of here. I'm going to let y'all know because, I feel it's necessary to say it at this time. There are other alternatives. And this is why it's so important that the power of the federal government is not just allowed, it's not allowed to get out of control. And that's why I said localize, state level, get to know each other. There are alternatives to depending on specific businesses and specific governing bodies. And for those of you who have already studied civics, y'all know this already. For those of you who don't know about this is going to be new for you. Civil disobedience is very important. And civil disobedience goes in various forms. One of the ways to civilly disobey, and I say civilly, is, and it's all systematic and it's all strategy. It's to stop funding. It's to stop funding things that you do not agree with, that are not in the interest of the common good of the common man. Bad law, also known as illegal law. You must civilly disobey that. This is your civic duty to civilly disobey bad law. Secondly, you must also defund bad law and actions which facilitate against the interest of your communities and your areas. We live in a capitalist society. The only thing these motherfuckers understand is when you critically crush their economic deadline, their bottom line. It doesn't matter if it's boxing, it doesn't matter if it's movies, it doesn't matter if it's news networks. Secondly, it's important that you are able to vocalize very clearly why you're defunding them, why you're civilly disobeying. It's very important to understand that part. It's not just this is a circumstance that's happening to them and they have to troubleshoot why that is happening. No, you must be able to tell them why it is happening. Because we live in a capitalist society, the people who are oligarchs, the people who are very, very, very powerful, have to listen to everything that's going on the ground so they can influence it. So believe it or not, pipsqueaks like myself and other people all around the world are being heard. The data is being collected. They have to keep their ears on the ground. If you don't keep your ears on the ground, you won't know what's happening. And then all of a sudden something can come up unexpected that you didn't expect. And in this age of AI and data collection, it's very easy to sort out this information using certain words and separate people into different groups and then analyze specific people and the messaging. So it's very important to understand social media has changed and revolutionized a lot of things. So you pointing out the truth would mean somebody may have to use spin and neutralize you, or somebody may have to activate software to either hack into your system and destroy it, or to actually block you from accessing certain things. I've been shadow banned. Many things have happened to me. Up to just very recently, a week or so ago, they just age restricted my video on the entertainment that I was doing. Again, these big corporations try to use as much leverage as they can to stifle off any kind of resistance to them, any kind of narrative that can go out there that affects their bottom line, because it's all about money at the end of the day. So you have to understand these things. Civil disobedience is literally an enshrined constitutional right you have to do to whatever in any democracy, for that matter. Free speech is important. That's why free speech is important, for the truth to come out so that people can know what the truth is and then compare it to whatever their leadership is doing to see if they're in line with that. That's the way to check and balance leadership, and then to take action on it. And the action you need to take, particularly, which is peaceful, is financial action. This is the most devastating way to cripple any organization and any powerful group, is to financially dismantle them by not supporting them anymore. If you want to see Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez, it's very simple. Do not buy Canelo Alvarez's fight with Berlanga. Some of you say, well, I love boxing so much, I got to see it. Then you're a stupid ass. If you want what you want, then you need to stop funding what you don't want. It's that simple. You don't fund it, they realize, oh shit, we're not making money off of this. We're losing money. And they'll continue to lose money until they do what you say. It's that simple. Currently, we are defunding Warner Brothers Discovery. Their shares right now, today, is under $8 a share. This is a company that used to be having $45 a share, We've defunded them. We've stopped buying their products. And that's how you do it. We're very successful at what we do. The BDS movement prompted the ICJ to rule that Israel is an apartheid state and to give advisory recommendations as to what it's supposed to do in terms of ending the occupation. BDS movement has been around for years. Always been. The Western powers have always been against it. My point being that success happens when you cripple the very powers that depend on you to get their power. You must understand how powerful you are. Without your consent, no democracy, no republic can do anything. They always need your consent. When you are complicit in allowing these governments to do whatever the fuck they want, they'll get away with it and they'll continue to grow power. But when you are not complicit, when you say, no, I don't agree with this, it's not happening. Now you've exercised your right to dissent, not only in talk, but in action. You're not going to fund this. The states can say, you're not going to get our taxes. We'll keep our taxes to do X, Y, and Z. The IRS is supposedly the bully. You'll come down into the different states, and the state collectively says, get the fuck out of my place. You're not getting the taxes. It's about a collective. No hooligan or mobster can target individuals and extract money from them. It's very important you understand this. And intimidation doesn't intimidate. You have to be able to stand your ground as a collective and as individuals, knowing you have strength because you're a collective as well. So I just wanted to make that clear. Now, as to Jill Stein, I don't know really what her history will be if she becomes president of the United States and the Green Party becomes, wins, let's say, winning elections. What I can tell you is the policies that Jill Stein have, I align myself with. And not just Jill Stein, the Green Party, should I say. She's a product of the Green Party. Her history has been for civil rights and some things I don't agree with, but nonetheless, more or less, I think she is fresh meat. I would love to see how she and the party fare in these elections and ultimately, in the end, also see what she would do if she was in power and her party. See if she would fall down the same line and do the same shit that the swamp is doing. Even Trump fell for the shit that the swamp was doing. He wasn't able to clean up the swamp. He actually kind of messed it up a little bit more. So my point being, and of course this guy named Biden, he did a shit fest. First it was COVID, next is these wars in Ukraine, and now he's in a shit fest with Israel, which is just killing people left, right, and center, and committing all kinds of atrocities, and is in 4 different wars. It has started itself and provoked. It's a shit fest. So probably the worst president ever because of those things. Very much pro-establishment, very much supporting the oligarchs in their scams against humanity. So this guy's been the worst possible. He probably even worse than Trump. So it's like, Trump, Biden, Trump, Harris. I think they're both going to lose to Trump anyway. I think if you're going to go for something, you need to go fresh meat. Trump got his chance. Biden got his chance. Harris got her chance. It's time for Jill Stein. Let's see what she can do. And she's, some people say she's kind of radical, but I don't think so. I think she represents the common man and the populace more than those two. I think she give back to the populace more than those two. The only thing is I hope that she has the sense to understand the federal government needs to pass good law or none at all. and try to give more power to the individual states. If she does that, she is going to be a great president because the individual states will be happy with her. But if she, and it doesn't really matter what the representatives of the states do in Congress or in the Senate. I know some of them just want to block for block's sake and be just impediments with their own agendas, right? Because they're funded by corporations. But she can always get a referendum from the individual states. That's why I said it's all about going to the individual states to get good law. And she didn't just jump in there and try and do X, Y, and Z with executive orders. That doesn't work. It gets repealed eventually. It's better if she takes her time, goes to the individual states, gets the referendum from the individual states, so that if any representative of those individual states starts speaking strident to the referendum in the individual states. And how do you get a referendum for the individual states? So let me show you what I mean. You go to individual states and you find out what is the 3 most pressing issues of each individual state. That's how you get your referendum, right? You go to the people and you say, well, what is it that you most want to see from the government? Because I'm the government right now. I represent you. The others also represent you, but I want to know what is the 3 most pressing things of your state. Not 10, not 5, not 4, 3. Only 3. That's how you get a referendum. You get your referendum, and then, in addition to all the polls and all the other things and independent studies and stuff you can get for your, as we say, a review, you collect all this data. And then you're going to Congress, and you're going to the Senate and saying, listen, Congress has got a bad reputation. The Senate has got a bad reputation. We need to pass some good law here. It's not just about crossing the aisle. It's about representing what your state wants. So if you don't know what the fuck your state wants, and you can only toe a party line, you better get out of this Congress now, because we're going to clean this swamp. One way or the other, we're going to get your ass out of here. We're going to remove you. Now, lobbyists are not going to like that. Big corporations are not going to like that. An assassination attempt will happen. But this is what you got to do. The intelligence bodies are not going to like that. They like how things are going right now. People getting payback, they're getting big purses and stuff, pockets being filled. No, they don't want that. Right? The swamp doesn't want that. So, yeah, they might assassinate her. But what I'm saying is that's you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta put the power back into the hands of the individual states. Because their representation is not representing them properly. They put the power back into the hands of the individual states. And if individual states disagree with one another, that's okay. Because that's what they feel. That's okay. But it needs to go back to the hands of the states. The representatives of the states that go to the federal government are supposed to represent the states. That's all they're supposed to do. Nothing more, nothing less. That's why we're collecting lobby money. Because they're representatives of a fucking state. So they're not supposed to be collecting money to influence their vote. That's why this lobbyist thing is a bunch of shit. Okay. So that's what I got for you guys. I am what you need. I know I spent a lot of time on this stream. I spent 2 hours and 14 minutes and 9 seconds on this stream. Brought to you by Live. If you're in Trinidad and Tobago, which is where I come from, don't forget you can buy these products. Got all-purpose cleaner or disinfectant, fabric softener. We got liquid detergent. We got dishwashing liquid. LIVE. Remember it. Live now. We were live now. I'm going to catch you guys later. There's a lot more I want to talk about with boxing, but we talked enough. Light on. Bless you guys. Have a good one.